Okay.
Hi, everyone. Are we ready?
Hi everyone. Hi. Sorry for the delay. Sorry that we're just starting now. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Please just say yes if you can hear me, or just say something if you can hear me. Great, great, great. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Power Woman series. Welcome. My name is Patience Ehi Odoko, and I am a Power Woman. Welcome everybody. Thank you for signing up for this. It's really going to be an interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to it myself. So I'll just share some of the ground rules before we get on with the conversation for today. I want you to turn off your mic and also turn off your video so we can just focus on the speakers for today, please. Also, I want you to get a very comfortable seat. Get comfortable because we're about to have like a really interesting conversation. And also, I would want you to turn off your video. Like I said earlier, turn off your video. I can see some people still have their videos on. And turn off your mic also. If you have a question, I'd like you to use the comment section, the chat. Just send whatever question you have and we'll definitely respond. Also, I want you not to be distracted. So tell the people around you that you're having a Zoom conversation that is going to be life-changing. So they should please not distract you. It's really going to be an amazing conversation. I'm looking forward to it. In this day, today that we are, it's really a tough time for us, for everybody, for almost every industry. So it's a good time for us to rethink our businesses and to rethink new strategies. And really, for me, I think tech is the new oil. Yes, technology. So it's interesting that we're having this conversation around entrepreneurship and digital thinking. We decided to start the Power Woman webinar series because we wanted to empower more women in our community to understand the importance of pivoting to a new way of doing business. And really, we've gotten amazing feedback from the past two series that we've had. We've had amazing testimonials on how information has transformed their lives. And I'm hoping that this conversation would also help you to rethink how you do business going forward. We have some amazing speakers lined up for today, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of them. We have our founder, Udo Konjo, who is a power woman. She's the chief igniter. She's amazing. So I'm looking forward to hearing from her. We have Peter Alejana. We have Miriam Ogundero, who is an IT consultant and a business transaction strategist. We have Paul Fo, the CEO of Catalyst Consulting, who is the #1 sales coach. He tags himself as the #1 sales coach. We have Enekeno Ubu, a principal digital consultant with Ascenders Limited. It's really going to be an interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to it. So if you're just joining us, the Inspired Women Award for the first time, I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about what we represent and what we do as a community. The Inspired Women Award was founded 10 years ago. And the key vision for us as a community is to empower, enlighten, and educate women. And that's why we decided to come up with this particular series, so we can empower more women to understand the importance of pivoting to a new way of doing business and understand that there's new money in the system and you cannot do business as usual anymore. And it's really important for us also pivot into the digital world. So usually we would do more physical events, but we decided that this year we would do a lot of digital events, and doing this is one of them. Also, as a community, our founder decided that she's going to educate more women and bring them into the place of leadership. So we're also going to start a leadership series, which you actually need to register. So if you don't receive our newsletters, I would advise that you go and sign up for our newsletters. Go to Instagram and click on the link in our bio. And if you don't also follow us on Instagram, you need to follow us because there's a whole lot of information that we post on Instagram to empower, to encourage women. This is a time where you need your sisters. We really were particular about sisterhood, we're particular about love and supporting each other. So I'd advise that you follow us on Instagram and you also sign up for our newsletter so you get every information as they come on. Usually in our community on Wednesdays, we tag Wednesdays as the Walk on Water Wednesday. So I'd like to share the last paragraph of the Walk on Water pledge, which is a really powerful pledge. For me, it's something really amazing. So I just want us to, I'll share that and you can insert your name as I shared. So this particular standard says, I am a water walker in all aspects of my life, work and business. I test the boundaries with my ideas. I am loaded. I am strategic. I never tire of reinventing myself. This is a good time to reinvent yourself. This is a good time for you to transform your mind, your thinking, your business. This is a good time. So I love the fact that we're having this conversation. It's a good time for you to rethink your business. I am a water walker in all aspects of my life, work and business. I test the boundaries with my ideas. I am loaded, I am strategic. I never tire of reinventing myself. Not for me, the tried and tested. Not for me, the victim game. I walk where others fear to tread. I want you to walk where others fear to tread. I believe impossible is nothing. I am inspired and connected to other powerhouses, and that is what we represent. We want a community where women are connected fully to each other. I am empowered. One of our key vision is to empower women and to bring them to a place of purpose and light and understanding who they are. And completely unstoppable. You are unstoppable in as much as the situation right now is difficult for everybody, but you are unstoppable if you believe that you are. I, Patience Odoko, is unstoppable. Insert your name and say you are unstoppable. Insert your name and say that you are a power woman. Insert your name and say you walk on water. Okay, guys, I would just invite our founder right now to continue the conversation. I don't spend so much time talking about this. I'll invite Mrs. Udo Okonjo to continue with the conversation. Okay, so we need some music.
Fantastic. Hi, thank you very much for that excellent introduction, Pat. It's instructive that today is Wednesday, and the Walk on Water pledge that you just read so powerfully, I think is an excellent setting for today. We are uniquely an entrepreneurial network. Even though we have women from all walks of life, in terms of we have people who identify as entrepreneurs and we have people who identify as professionals, meaning they're career people who are working as employees within organizations. However, within the Inspired Women of Worth network, we see ourselves, irrespective of how we work, as an entrepreneurial network, which means that there is a mindset that is right in the heart of our DNA as a community. And the Walk on Water pledge that Pat read just a couple minutes ago actually really defines who we are. We have some incredible speakers who are going to be taking us down, talking about this topic, developing an entrepreneurship mindset. I would, however, like to say that everyone who is on this broadcast, because I recognize that not everyone who's registered to attend this webinar is necessarily, an active member of our community in the sense of, having followed us and engaged with us on an ongoing basis. We will be sharing this pledge on our Instagram platform, and also we will be sending it out in our next newsletter, and you'll receive it. Pat read the last part of our pledge, but I want to go back to the beginning where it says, I choose to walk on water. Pat, I believe that's what you may have read. So if I'm reading it again, that's fine. I just think I want to reinforce it as really a way to bring us, to the center of this conversation. So I choose to walk on water. Now, the concept of walking on water is the concept of walking on water for us as a community is actually the concept of, daring in the deep end, right? It's a concept of going away from our comfort zone. It's a concept of doing that which isn't typical and that which isn't necessarily normal. And in a sense, isn't that what entrepreneurship is about? In the sense that entrepreneurs have to take bold steps outside their comfort zones. Entrepreneurs are the ultimate faith project in the sense that they have to, proceed in terms of their actions without the 100% affirmation or confirmation that what they're projecting will actually come to pass. And as a result of that, so many people don't go down this entrepreneurial journey. It goes on to say, I define broadly my possibilities. For those of you who've been following us, you know that the Global Possibilities Summit is a summit that we've hosted for 10 years. And the most recent one for 2020 was meant to have held on the 24th and 25th of March. Unfortunately, as a result of the pandemic, we had to essentially put a stop to that. And instead, we decided to use this month of April to serve our community and as many women and families as possible through this Power Woman webinar series. So defining and defying impossibilities is actually the real core of what the Inspired Woman of Worth is all about. It goes on to say, I am afraid, but I move with gusto and fierce focus. All entrepreneurs have to move, and they have to move with fierce focus. At a time like this, where we have the pandemic, where we're in lockdown, where we're unsure about tomorrow, things are volatile, things are uncertain. In a sense, the future is somewhat ambiguous in the sense that, 1 minute we're hearing about oil prices being at almost zero, single digit for the first time, in forever. So much is going on from the economic, from the health crisis. We may be emerging into an economic crisis, and it's never been to, as it were, take on of I am going to win and I'm going to defy impossibilities. Because if we were to focus on what is before us, it definitely does look like we are facing impossible times. It goes on to say, I've learned to dance daily with my fears. I embrace them, knowing they lead me to new horizons. And so for us, talking about the entrepreneurial mindset, talking about entrepreneurship and all of that, as an inspired woman, we recognize that fear is real. Whether it's fear in terms of your business, your relationships, your finances, or in situations where you don't have control. We're learning, and we've always learned, as it were, to embrace these fears, knowing that they will lead us to new horizons. And these new horizons, they're uncharted territories that await us. We may stumble, we may fall, but we will stand in the face of setback, and we will translate our missteps into lessons, our failings into feedback. All this is really describing the mindset and the behavior of an entrepreneur. This is what our pledge says. It goes on to say, I choose to win against and in spite of all the odds. So quite frankly, we can convert this walk on water pledge and call it the entrepreneurship pledge, because that's what it really speaks of. Pat has already spoken the rest of it. I'm just going to go to the part that says, I am an answer to a pressing and uncommon question. I mean, my goodness, we've had this pledge for almost 10 years. And yet, as I read it now, it feels like it was written for just such a time as this. It says, I offer unprecedented value. I seek only the highest and the best in all things. I do not settle. I walk where others fear to tread. I believe impossible is nothing. Impossible is a dare. Ladies and the few gentlemen that we have on this, impossible has always been a dare for those of us in this network. The whole idea behind the Inspired Women of Worth is to raise women, powerful women, women who at their very core carry power, carry strength, not just because they're speaking the words, but because they invest in the resources, they invest in the knowledge, they invest in associating in essentially a knowledge-based network, a network where they're able to learn and take on the resources and information you need in order to, as it were, thrive in whatever it is that they're doing. We're in a season where entrepreneurship is going to be more the norm. I like to say that we're actually going into the era of entrepreneurship. From my perspective, the whole concept of an entrepreneur is somebody who thinks creatively. It's somebody who comes up with solutions for, as it were, problems. It's somebody who, as it were, looks for, problems. And as we go into this new economy, there are going to be so many new problems. And the question is, will we be entrepreneurial within our organizations? Would we be entrepreneurial within our businesses? The whole concept of being entrepreneurial is about looking for new problems, new possibilities for those problems. I have quite a few speakers, so I wanted to make that introduction. We are going to basically be going into this conversation. I will come back and forth and share my thoughts from being an entrepreneur and a business leader, in the Nigerian market and in other markets, over the last couple of decades. And we have Peter here. She's already introduced. I have Keno, and also we have Miriam. And they're all coming. We also have Paul. And they're all coming with their unique experiences this afternoon to, as it were, share their perspective on this topic. My first presenter will be Peter Aliojana, who is going to take us through a presentation in a systematic way on this topic, the entrepreneurship mindset. So Peter, please just, go right ahead, share with us your thoughts, the principles around being an entrepreneur. I've already shared that this is really at the core of anybody, whether you're an employee or you own a business, because the fact that you own a business doesn't mean you actually have an entrepreneurship mindset. Most people are in business, as it were, just to make money, make money, collect money, but they're not necessarily entrepreneurial in that sense. So Peter is going to lay that foundation so that we can see and, in a sense, use his presentation to assess ourselves and determine whether we have that entrepreneurship mindset. So over to you, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Sudo. Thank you, IWAL, for having me on this platform. We're in a new era, and a new era is upon us. And looking at all the uncertainties around this period and the virus and the ripple effect it will have on the economy, you will agree that an entrepreneur is most suitable for this time because of their mindset and their skill sets to be able to navigate through this period and come out on the other side stronger. So first, to understand the mindset of an entrepreneur, we need to first of all understand who an entrepreneur is. And the simple definition of an entrepreneur is someone who finds a gap in the market and creates a business or a commercial solution to solve that problem. And an entrepreneur has, different characteristics, like things that make their makeup, I would say. They start with their vision. They have a purpose. They have a mission. They're creative. They're very creative. They initiate new things. They're self-motivated. They take what they do seriously, and they create value. And that's the key thing. They create value. They create value for their customers. They harness technology, they invest in themselves, they are constantly learning, they are learning machines. In this time, we need to learn constantly. They're not afraid to take risks, they adapt quickly, they innovate, they know how to sell themselves, they network both online and offline, and they have a very healthy work ethic. They use the power of their imagination, they are very passionate, they have a never give up spirit. So these are some of the characteristics of an entrepreneur. So what is a mindset? A mindset then is just a collection of beliefs and thoughts that make up our mental attitude, habits, and our disposition. So, and that also affects the way we respond to things and the way we conduct our lives. And so, if you want to develop an entrepreneurial mindset, you need to understand how you got your employees' mindset. We were always, or some of us, or most of us, were in this same stage or condition when we had an employee's mindset, and this mindset comes from information we were fed, and the school system was set up to create factory workers, and this is where we got this mindset of being an employee. The school system was set up to create workers for factories, people who will just take instructions and obey them to the letter, people who will not think outside the box, they will not innovate, they just carried out instructions. And that is how we build this mindset of being an employee. And we were taught, or we advised that once you finish school, you get a good job as an employee, and then you work for a period of time, and then you're promised a good retirement package. So this was where the mindset came from. But some people have been able to break out of that box, and these are the people we call entrepreneurs. And so to be able to navigate this period that we're in, we ought to develop the mindset of an entrepreneur. And that mindset is a mindset that innovates. It is always looking for changes and adapting to new ways of doing things and executing. It's a mindset that is not afraid to take risk and is able to face challenges and overcome them and be able to take their businesses to the next level. So for us to be able to navigate through this period and come out stronger, we need to develop the mindset of an entrepreneur. And these are some of the things it will take for us to develop that mindset. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Peter, for that introduction. Did you have a presentation? Because I wasn't sure if, Peter, did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, did you have a presentation? Yeah, because you can go ahead and actually go through it now if you're ready to do that.
Okay. Just a minute. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, just a minute. Okay. So basically, an entrepreneur is someone who sees a problem and creates a business solution to solve that problem. And these are some of the characteristics of an entrepreneur, which I have tried to, that I listed just a few minutes ago. So they start with a vision. They have a mission and purpose. They are very creative. They initiate. They're self-motivated. Um,
Peter, I
um,
don't know about your screen, but the screen I'm seeing is only showing me the title. It's not showing the list.
it's not.
You need to scroll down further.
Just a minute.
If those of you who are on, if the participants can just indicate what they can see, because what I can see, it's possible other people are seeing. Okay, excellent. Yes, this is better. Yes, now we can. Yes.
Okay. So those are the characteristics of an entrepreneur. So I've gone through the list, but there are some I highlighted in red just to show just to draw attention to those key ones. An entrepreneur starts with a vision, a mission, and purpose. They initiate, they're self-motivated, they create value for their customers. They use technology a lot. They invest in themselves. They're constantly learning. They are learning machines, actually. They're not afraid to take risk. They adapt to current needs of their customer and market. They know how to sell themselves. They network online and offline. They have a healthy work ethics. They use the power of imagination. They are passionate. They have a resilient, never give up spirit. They have a sense of urgency. What's the mindset? What's a mindset? A mindset is a collection of beliefs and thoughts. Like I said, that make up our mental attitude and inclination and habits. And this also just helps us to is what informs the way we respond and react to things. And how do we develop the mindset? A mindset is developed from information, and the information we've been fed with. And like I said, the employee's mindset was, we got that mindset from the school system, because the school system was set up to create factory workers, and that dispensation is past now, and we cannot work with that framework anymore. So if you want to develop an entrepreneurial mindset, what is it? What does it look like? It's an attitude or an approach of thinking. An entrepreneur, is actively seeking out changes rather than waiting to adapt to those changes. So they do scenario planning. They consider what may happen, especially in this very uncertain period. They do a lot of scenario planning. If this happens, how do we respond? And if B happens, how do we respond? And they ask a lot of critical questions, and they innovate and continue to improve. They engage, they're able to, that enables you to overcome challenges and be decisive and accept responsibility. Every entrepreneur accepts responsibility, the responsibility of creating value for their customers and the outcome of the value they create for their customer, which is the profit they make. And how do we need to develop, and why do we need to develop an entrepreneurial mindset? Like I said, we're in an era that um, requires us to think differently. And even before we came into this uncertain period, the era of the digital age was already upon us, and a lot of digital and disruptions had already started happening in almost all the industries. It's just that this crisis has just made it shorter or just brought it closer. And so the lockdown, the economic downturn, or what people may consider as, predicting to be a depression, not just a recession, and the digital disruption that, we're facing right now. So this is why these are the reasons why we need to develop the entrepreneurial mindset.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that presentation. I'm just going to, if you just click out of there so that we can all come back on. Excellent, thank you. Thanks, Peter, for that. So you were talking about the entrepreneurship mindset. I just want to ask you, what do you think stops people from developing, an entrepreneurship mindset? What are the key challenges? I mean, I know you had mentioned about, the way that our school system in most countries are run, in the sense that people are being developed to be employees. And so even when people go into business for themselves, they still carry the mindset of, employees, because the fact that you're a lawyer or you're a doctor or you are in fashion does not mean that you were developed to actually thrive as an entrepreneur. And that's why we're having this conversation, so that people recognize that the fact that you run a business does not mean that you have an entrepreneurship mindset, especially if we were to take the checklist that Peter has just gone through, where we're talking creativity, we're talking innovation, we're talking, adding value. Entrepreneurs are ahead of the game. They're working tirelessly. They're innovative, and a lot of people lack this innovative mindset, the ability to solve problems. That's why you would go into somebody's business who is a business owner, and if they're presented with a challenge from, say, a customer, they actually get frustrated and maybe even get a bit rude towards the customer. Or when we come to a situation like this, as we're in this sort of crisis, it's difficult for them to navigate away from the way they've been doing business, because they're not creative, they're not innovative, they're not, quite frankly, entrepreneurial. So in your estimation, what are some of the things, in addition to the schooling system, that stops people or challenges people in terms of this mindset?
Okay, we all
is
have
it something that people are born with, or is it something that they develop? Is it how people are? This is how I am. I'm not an entrepreneur.
Okay. We all have the potential to be entrepreneurs. The thing is that when we start off as technicians, like an architect, a lawyer, an engineer, a salesperson, and all of that. Then somehow maybe we get tired with our job, we want some freedom or some extra money. Then we leave our paid job to become self-employed. It's still the same thing as having a job, but it's just now you work for yourself. And if you're working for a company, maybe you grow through the ranks to become a manager, and then you're trained to become a manager. The thing is, you don't just become a manager and know how to manage other technicians. So it's something that you have to develop and train yourself, a mindset you need to acquire, So, and the key reason why a lot of employees find it difficult to develop this mindset is because they're thinking about, why do I need to create that kind of value for my employer? I mean, it's still the same pay. Why do I need to do more? Why do I need to think out of the box? Let me just do the work, I've been given to do at a certain time. I clock in and clock out at a certain time. But that's not the mindset of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is looking at how to make what they're doing better. So they are challenging this, the way things are done currently, and rethinking how they can make the process faster and more effective. So, but a typical employee will just take a task and execute it to the end excellently, but not think about different ways to do it, or make it shorter, or make it more effective. And so,
which then brings us to, sorry to jump in there, which then brings us to that same mindset, based on what you've said and what I was alluding to earlier, whereby from being a technician in somebody else's business or in an organization, you've worked for an organization for a long time, then you go and start your business. Then you call yourself an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You still have the mindset of really a business, but you don't have the entrepreneurial mindset. So I'm trying to make the distinction between the employees who work within organizations and employees who, quite frankly, are running their businesses, because they're not necessarily creating value for their businesses. Their businesses are not growing. They're not able to pivot away. They're not able to solve problems. When they hit challenging times, as we are now, they do not have the creativity or the innovative spirit and that grit that is required to navigate away from where they are, because they're used to just doing things from a technical point of view, from just solving basic problems. Whereas entrepreneurs have to have a slightly different approach.
Yes, you know, a typical technician wants to do the work themselves. That's why you see even a self-employed person will still be working in the business, which they call their business. You know, so because they're working in the business, they don't have the time. I mean, there's so many things to do. I mean, you need to manage, you need to employ other technicians, you need to manage them, you need to create systems, you need to create processes, and then you need to market, so there's so many things to do as an entrepreneur. But the technician is only focused on doing the technical work.
Doing, as opposed to working on the business, right?
On the business, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. Let me get my dear friend Keno to jump in right here. Keno, are you there? Are you ready? And yes, Peaches, please, all the guests, can I ask that you can start to put in your comments, and also any questions that you may have for any of the speakers. We'll come through, read the comments. I've seen what Peaches said, that an entrepreneurship mindset, entrepreneurial mindset must be developed, absolutely. And this is a journey. For anything that is developed, it is a journey. If the administrators will please bring Keno Ogbo on. Is she here? Is Keno here? Okay, Natasha, yeah, we see Keno is here as Natasha. Okay, fantastic. Can we get, oh, awesome. Wonderful. Okay, Keno, over to you. So we're talking entrepreneurship mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, and digital thinking.
Indeed.
Talk to us about digital thinking in an era of so much uncertainty, in an era that we clearly regard as, you know, the digital world. I mean, as Peter said, it's interesting that everyone seems to be scrambling, you know, and calling this, it's like, oh, the new digital world. Whereas digital has been here with us for a very long time. And, you know, there are companies, for example, as some of us are struggling to work from home, there are loads of people who've been working from home for the longest time. And lots of people have been leveraging technology. So the digital thinking, that mindset, we want you to talk to us about it. Why is it relevant, you know, for entrepreneurs in particular? And, you know, what are some of the tools or resources that, you know, as entrepreneurs we can start thinking about? But if you talk to us more from the standpoint of the thinking itself.
Indeed, and thank you, Udo, for having me on here. And hi, everyone. Just to say to everyone, I hope you can hear me properly. You're going to have to take a lot of notes, okay? Because I've got quite a bit of material for you. And I've titled my talk, Digital Thinking in VUCA Times. I'm going to start by explaining what VUCA is. I'm going to outline to you how a business should respond in VUCA times. And then I'm going to show you how digital transformation, digital thinking is the overarching strategy for businesses in VUCA times. Hopefully I'll have some time to show you a video, and then I'm going to leave you with three key questions that I'd like you to ask yourself. So please do take notes. So first of all, what is VUCA? Quite a number of us will know what VUCA stands for. It's an acronym. It's VUCA. It's an acronym that was really, really trendy in sort of like if you've done any MBA, business management, academic sort of style thinking around entrepreneurship. And it outlines some of the most challenging environments for business. So I'll tell you what it stands for. V stands for volatile. It means that your business could be operating in an unstable environment, or there could be obstacles or changes of an unknown duration. So that's V for volatile. The U stands for uncertain. So what that means is that there could be a lack of clarity about what's happening, or the future is not predictable. C stands for complex. It means that there are diverse and there are multiple interacting factors, independent factors that come into play that sort of lead to a confusing landscape. And A stands for ambiguous, which means that the outcome of any action you take as a business person may be unclear, the meaning might not be that clear, it could not be really easily defined. So really, VUCA means that it's a crazy world out there. It really is. And now in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic, people have said it's chaotic. People have called it unprecedented. People have called it really, it's VUCA. It's a crazy world out there. So how then does a business respond? Well, it's really, really simple. It's very simple for me to let you know how a business responds. They're not things that are new to you, they're things you know, but these things are extremely difficult to master, which is why when you get digital thinking, you'll be able to master some of these principles. So let me outline some of these principles to you. In a volatile situation, you need to be flexible. So I trained as an architect, and if you think of a bridge, when a bridge is constructed, it's not constructed to be static, to be just strong in itself. It's constructed in such a way that the joints can move. So if a huge wind comes in, there's expansion joints that can move. If the bridge, the concrete gets very hot, it can move. So flexibility is built into a bridge. If you look at something like the willow tree is a picture of standing strong in adversity. Not because it is strong and static, but because it's flexible. It can bend into all sorts of outrageous poses without breaking. So in volatile times, you need to think about that flexibility. In uncertain times, the key word for this is a spiritual word, but it's also a business word, and that word is hope. In uncertain times, you respond in hope. You respond in positivity. There is light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope for businesses that are listening now, particularly in lockdown, you can sort of get some positivity coming out even now. It means that with hope, the new ways, you think of the new value you can bring. You think of new directions. You think of new ways of working. Peter said it, and it's all wrapped up in that word, innovation. And when you think of innovation, the next thing you think of definitely is digital, because digital enables innovation. So in these uncertain times, think of that word hope. And with that word hope becomes a new dawn, a new way of doing things. In complex times, you adapt with speed. You adapt with curiosity. You're looking, you're listening, you're asking questions, you're learning. You know, you're adapting very, very quickly. So organizations that have a bureaucratic way of doing things, or the management is on various different levels, they cannot adapt quickly. So again, when you're thinking of adapting your business in a complex environment, you're thinking about your processes, about your personnel, and about how you do things. In an ambiguous society or environment, you respond by experimentation and, again, innovation. Experimentation is a fantastic word in digital transformation, because it's all about learning fast. It's about failing fast and failing forward, which are massive concepts, which hopefully if you're taking notes, you can go on and think about this, because we use them very much in software development, but they also apply to your business, in which you experiment with something, knowing that you can learn very quickly and then you can adapt very quickly because you've learned from things that are not working. So I've outlined the definition of VUCA, and I've sort of explained to you how a business can respond in VUCA times. I hope you've gotten those notes. If you haven't, just leave a question for me and I'll answer it at the end. But who will succeed? Now, businesses that are not resistant to change, entrepreneurs that are ready to learn, ready to discover, ready to take action, and ready to fail forward, those are the bedrock of digital transformation. Really, that's what digital transformation is all about. And now I'm going to try and connect the dots for you so you can very clearly see what digital thinking is. And at the end of this session, you will be able to go on a journey of digital thinking for your own business. So first of all, what I want to say to people that is really important, I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs get it wrong. Digital transformation is first of all a mindset change, not a technology consideration. So I'm sure a few people on this webinar would want me to identify what the tools are. So how do we use social media marketing? How do we use influencers? How do we use things like virtual conferencing? How do you use things like customer relationship management? Those are the technology. How do you use machine learning, artificial intelligence? That is the technology, and that's important. But with digital transformation, please hear me, you don't start from the technology, you start from changing your mind. And I know Peter spoke a lot about the entrepreneur's mindset. That's important, but I'm going to come at it from a digital thinking point of view. So your question in this webinar may be, how can I use technology to make my business better? Was that your question? Well, yes. If that was your question, then you are looking for business improvement, not business transformation. You're looking to have the same business with new tools. So I'll give you an example. Remember Henry Ford? He made the first car or automobile, yeah? When people were still having horses. So they'll have a horse with the carts. Yeah, do you remember all that? Well, ages ago. Now, if the people were wanted to know that, oh, what do you want? They'll say, oh, we want faster horses. We want horses that are faster. But we now, in the 20th century, we know that what they didn't want was faster horses, was they wanted to do things quicker, and Henry Ford came up with the automobile. So first of all, is the thinking behind it. It's not improving what you already have, it's changing your business model. So if you have the same business model, but you have artificial intelligence and you use all your tools, you may have a better business, but you've not undergone any digital transformation. So in itself, that is noble, but you cannot compete. Let me give you another example. I really wish there was some feedback because it sounds as though I'm talking to myself, but I'll get used to it. But I'll give you another example. Imagine if when Uber came, Uber in Nigeria or Taxify. Imagine if just a month before that, taxis decided to invest in better, more sturdy tires, yeah? They changed their color from yellow to red. They had leather seats, you know? They really improved the taxi. The engine of the taxi got better. Would that have lessened the impact that Uber had on the transportation industry? No. The taxis would have gotten better, would have used emerging technology to improve the taxis, but what destroyed the transportation industry was not better technology, was a different business model that was enabled by technology. I hope I'm getting that across. So right now, what I want to do is to explain to you what digital transformation is. Now, digital transformation is literally about how to use the technology. I'll give you 3 points. Please write them down. How to use technology, one, to give your customers the value they want and the value they expect. Okay? How to give your customers the value they want, the value they expect. Digital transformation, two, is adapting to the changing needs of the customer. And digital transformation, three, is seizing the new opportunities that are brought by emerging technology and changing customer behavior. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you a short video, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you some questions which you can use in your own business. Someone said, please repeat. Just bear with me 1 minute. No, that's not, sorry about that. That was not, that was just a question. I got distracted. So let me show you the video now. Just bear with me. Okay. I'm trying to make this full screen. There we are. I can't seem to share my video. Can I have some control to share my video, please? Can you see my video? Can someone let me know if you can see my video? Just looking at the chat now. Can you see my video, please? Someone just say yes to me. Yes, you can see the video. Fantastic. Thank you. So,
my name is Folake Akinele Koka, the founder of Tiffany Amber Nigeria. In the past few months, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a dreadful impact on people's lives and businesses all over the world, and the fashion industry was certainly not exempted. When the reality of the pandemic hit me, I panicked. I thought, could this be the end of a 21-year-old journey for Tiffany Amber? It was important to me that operations continued. Tiffany Amber is a luxury brand, and right now, luxury is the last thing on anybody's mind. So the only way that we could keep the operations going was to stop production of our luxury items and focus on essential items necessary for this period. It only made sense to focus our expertise of garment production on medical garments and cloth face masks to help bridge the gap in the supply of medical apparel. As a result, in the middle of March, I took a decision to temporarily redirect our expertise and production capacity and convert our production from fashion items to medical garments. This decision was our way of keeping our operations alive so that the staff can still earn an income, and was also our own way of supporting the medical sector in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Every single day, we make sure that all the staff are following the safety guidelines as recommended by the World Health Organization and the Ministry of Health. We accommodate and feed every single production staff on site and make sure they're not exposed to the outside world. Tiffany Amber has deployed over 10 tons of fabric and raw materials, and my team and I have worked strictly and tirelessly under the recommended safety guidelines to produce and make available these much needed supplies to the hospitals and medical facilities that need them. We were able to triple our production capacity, which has allowed us to produce and deliver tens of thousands of cloth face masks, hospital gowns, scrubs, hospital sheets, and other medical apparel. In addition, we're also donating 10,000 face masks to the most vulnerable. And though this might seem like a tiny gesture in the scheme of everything, we're happy to be able to contribute in our own little way. And all this is over because I strongly believe this too shall pass. I would like Tiffany Amber to be remembered as a brand that cares, and a brand that contributed in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Stay safe.
okay, wonderful. I hope everybody got to see that video, and I'm going to bring it back to what I was talking to you about, digital transformation. So I said to you that digital transformation is actually a mindset change. How you use technology to, number one, give your customers the value they want and expect, adapt to the changing needs of the customer, and seize new opportunities that are brought by emerging technology and changing customer behavior. And I've shown you a video, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 3 questions, because I believe it's not just me talking to you, but it's you going back with something you can apply in your own business. So number 1, the first question I would like you to ask yourself: what value do I bring to my customers? What value does my business bring to my customers? Okay, I'm going to help you think about this question. If you asked a personal trainer, for example, what value do they bring to their business and to their customer, they will say, oh, I provide fitness classes for my clients. Or a personal trainer will say, oh, I help my clients lose weight. That's not a great answer. You think that's a good answer? It's not a good answer. A personal trainer says, I provide fitness classes or I help them lose weight. It's not a good answer. That's not digital thinking. Somebody with a digital mindset will say, the value that I bring to my customers is that I support their weight loss goals. Did you notice the difference? I support their health goals. Because in the question of the value that you bring to your client, the client is the center of the business, not you. That's what the digital, the fifth or the fourth revelation, whatever you want to call it, that's the reality is brought to us. The client is the center of the business, not you. So it's not about you bringing fitness classes to your client. It's about you supporting something that the client is already doing, something that the client wants to do. You know, it's about thinking, what is their need and how does my business support their need? Or what is it they need that they don't yet know that they need? Let's go back to Tiffany Amber and let's think of something that was so clever. Tiffany Amber is a luxury brand. Their clients are people that can afford luxury. Okay? Now, what does Tiffany Amber do, that brand? It helps them feel good about themselves. So it provides them with the clothing, the luxury clothing that makes them feel good about themselves. So they know that their brand makes people feel good about themselves. So they talk to themselves. In COVID-19, how can I make my clients feel good about themselves? It's not by telling them to buy another expensive outfit, but it's by making them feel that they're part of something bigger. They're part of helping. They're part of saving lives. They're part of a bigger vision. They're part of caring. And I just thought it was so clever. Tiffany Amber, the brand, is making their clients feel good about themselves by providing gowns and face masks to hospitals. And remember at the end, she said, let us be remembered as a brand that cares. Now, that is digital thinking. That is a company that has a digital mindset that puts the customer right in the middle and not just think, oh, what I do is I provide clothing or luxury clothes for my customer. They're not thinking like that. They are thinking, what I do is I support my client's goal to feel good about themselves. So what does your business do? That's your first question. What is it about your customer that you're supporting? What are their goals? What are their ambitions? What are their desires? What are their challenges? What are their aspirations? What exactly is your business supporting? That's the first question you need to think about. And I can bet you once you identify that, then you can use the digital transformation, the technology to achieve that goal. Second question. You ready for the second question? Second question for you to ask is, what are the changing needs of my customers? And I'll tell you some of them. Your customers expect a service that's 24/7. They want to go online and they want to get onto your website. They want to go online and they want to be able to chat with you. You know, they want to know that their network, because the customer is no longer an individual, the customer is now a network, okay? Sometimes when we want to buy something, we check the number of reviews or we check the number of stars. Excuse me. So they want to get recommendations from their network. They want to know how is your brand seen within the network as well. They want to be in control of the product. I don't know if there are any fashion designers or tailors in the house, but what I would really like, I don't particularly like going to my tailor anytime I'm in Nigeria. She's an amazing tailor, but honestly, the road getting there is scary to say the least. But what I would like is to be able to go onto a website, choose the material, whether it's the Ankara or the lace or the feathers or all that. I want to be able to choose the style, all on the computer. I want to be able to enter the measurements, and I want the finished item shown to me on the computer. I want to click a button, yeah, and I want to receive that outfit in about 3 to 4 days. That's what I want. Okay, so your customers are changing. So if you're a fashion designer and you're still like, oh, my customers will drive all the way to meet me in, I don't know, Yaba, and they will get their measurements and then they will come back for fitting, or I will use an Uber and go to their house. That's like a waste of time. The world is changing. How do your customers want to be served? So that's just an example. So again, coming back to Tiffany Amber, the brand realized that their customers are not looking for new outfits. There's no Owambe going on, no Ashoebi, nothing like that. But there's another need. Might not be her direct customers, but guess what? If a gown she provides to the hospital is going to save somebody's life, that life is somebody who might not spread it to somebody else, and it's just saving lives. So in the long run, she's still adding value to her customers. Okay, so that's your second question. Now, the third question I feel is one of the most important questions, and is who is in your ecosystem or ecosystem? Who is there? Who are your suppliers? Who are your stakeholders? Who are your network? Who's your staff? Who is in your ecosystem? One of the reasons I thought that Tiffany Amber was able to innovate very quickly was that she knew her suppliers. She didn't have to travel wherever. She just went on a computer. I don't know how she did it, to get the different types of material, to make the gowns, to get them to understand the process, which I'm sure is very, very different from a process of making luxury materials. She had an ecosystem already. She had a network already. When you're coming to the digital world, part of your thinking should be, who is my network? My suppliers, are part of my network. How can I work with them to know what they do more so I can change quickly if I need to? Who are my stakeholders? Who are the new stakeholders I can bring on board? How do I communicate with them? How do I get them to understand what I do really quickly? The logistics, the processes, the way I do what I do, the quality checks. How can I work with my ecosystem so we're in one place of agreement, not different places? So those are the three questions that I believe that every business needs to ask itself. The next stage is talking about business agility, but that's a lot. I know I've given you a lot of information, so I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to open up to questions. Or Udo, what would you like me to do? I think Udo needs to be unmuted.
I have been. Okay, Keno, we have one or two questions we'll take from you very quickly, and then we'll bring on Mariam. Actually, let me bring on Mariam first, and then that way I can take both of you, because you're both going to be speaking essentially around, very similar aspects. So Mariam, if you're ready, we would like you to come on board. Okay, Keno, before we get on Miriam, they're asking for the third point that you made earlier when you talked about, digital transformation. And the first one was how to give customers the value they want and expect. The second one, adapting the change to the changing needs and all that. And then the third one, where you talked about the opportunities. People have been asking for that. So if you can please indicate that. But excellent presentation, very, riveting presentation with lots of practical tips. A lot of people are obviously picking up on the branding aspect of the Tiffany Amber, and for many people that's what they would really pay attention to. But it's interesting that you would use that, because when you shared that video, it's actually gone around, over the last few days since it came out. Very few people would relate that to digital thinking. So it's interesting in the way you tied it to to the customers, because in a sense, people need to realize that in today's world, how you're perceived as a brand can itself become a value to your clients, because your clients in today's world, your business is no longer about you, the owner. It's now about essentially the community of people that are part of that business. So it's that thinking that Keno was referring to. Yeah. So as a customer of Tiffany Amber, you feel that you are part of, as it were, saving the world through this new initiative that they've essentially pivoted to. And you can imagine that this may not be their long-term business, but at a time like this, their ability to pivot, to make that decision, while some people were still thinking about closing by the 30th, by the middle of March, she had made the decision, contacted, in quotes, their network of stakeholders, and made that decision and made the requests or the orders. And by now, within 30 days, really, they're reeling up this face masks and all these garments and all of that stuff. So really, thinking digital is a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It's really about creativity. It's really about entrepreneurship, if you think about it. The ability to come up with solutions on the spot and midway. Over the last few days, I've been talking a lot about business is war. And so if you think about war, what is war? War is about strategy. And as a matter of fact, the word VUCA was actually originally a military term in terms of how people used it, how military generals made decisions at the war front. But we'll leave that, because I think Kenlo did a fantastic job giving us that background and getting us to see that digital thinking is a way of seeing. It's a way of thinking, and it's a way of, as it were, making decisions concerning your business with your customers' interest at the heart of it. Excellent presentation once again. Thank you so much, Keno. So Miriam, if you are there, Miriam is business analyst, now an entrepreneur. I see her. Miriam, if you would go right ahead, we'll check the topic with you and just some thoughts that we wanted you to talk around. If you would take us through, the digital evolution across the globe. You've worked for, international consulting firms, and you now run your own digital firm. You're also an entrepreneur. So if you talk to us about some of the skills, some of the practical resources, taking it on from where Keno stopped, which was telling us about the thinking. Now, in terms of practical, if someone is on this broadcast, on this webinar, and is saying, okay, right, I'm thinking digitally, I'm thinking of solving my clients' problems, what next? Okay. Right? So if you want to take us along that, and of course, please add on anything else you'd like to add.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No?
Yes.
You can hear me? Yes?
Absolutely. Okay. Yes, we can.
Okay,
yes.
Is it all right for me to share a presentation as well? And then I
absolutely.
can...
Absolutely.
Okay,
please
so
do.
I'm just going to share my screen, right? Can you see my screen? Can someone tell me if they can see my screen? Yeah, oh, good, great. Okay, so I'm going to talk about, move my windows out of my way so I can see what's going on as well. So I'm trying to just get the windows out of my way, so I'm not being able to pick them up with my mouse. They're blocking my screen to minimize it. Okay, I'm just going to go and see if I can see. Anyway, my name is Marion Ogundairo. Yes, and I'm a business strategist, business analyst. I've done quite a lot of things in the past. So, oh gosh, I can't see this. I'm sorry about this. My screen is blocking. I'm trying to get rid of the Zoom. I can't see. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. All right, thank you. Yeah, out of the way now. Okay. Yeah, so I've just come up. First of all, I thought I'll start by introducing what business digital strategy is. And digital strategy, some of the definitions are out there. One of the things it says is that it's a plan that can help you embed technology into your business. And I'm looking at it in terms of technology into your business, in terms of your business model and your business processes. And this will unlock the most value for your organization. Okay, so that's one definition. Okay, so what I decided to do here was that because business transformation, there's a lot of digital that going on. So I decided to just break this down a little bit, just to give us some kind of perspective of what we're talking about. So there's a lot going on now. We know there's digital disruption, and digital disruption is displacing the current technology. Okay, so I'm purely sticking right now purely to what digital sounding things are. So digital disruption is displacing the current technology. Anything that displaces the norm is disruptive, and that's what digital is doing. So the way we run our businesses now, the current technology, the way we use it is being disrupted by digital. Digitization, which was the first wave of digital products, or digitalization transformation, is generally it's when we move from analog to digital. So if you think about newspapers or magazines, originally we had them, we used to have them physically, and then they moved onto into digital, where you could actually read them, and from your phones and everything. And then we have digitalization now. We're progressing into an era now that we're looking at, how do we digitalize our business models and our business processes to provide that value that we have, that we're providing, value that we provide in the business for our customers. And then digital transformation encompasses everything, and this is where the people come in as well. You're talking about, you've moved from digital to the business processes and the business models, but also you're looking at some things like the human aspect of it, where you have change management, okay, and you've got human beings. And I still need to move this thing away. Let's see. Okay, so digital strategy now is a plan. Oops, sorry. Trying to move this. Okay, there you go. So digital strategy is a plan. Is a plan that actually you put the plan that you put together to take opportunity the plan for opportunity for competitive advantage that you have against your customers, against your competitors. So you're there as a business for a purpose, but when you put your strategy together, you're saying, okay, this is what I have, this is what's going to enable me actually carry out my digital strategy or my digital transformation. So you put them all in the plan. So that's what we're talking. It's just like an aspect of the whole of the digital transformation. We should say the ecosystem in terms of the digital. So I just wanted to break that down for us first. Now, I've got here examples of how we moved, like I said, from digital to online, where spoke about the newspapers to where we had the magazines online, or maybe even you look at the banks where you used to have like your, you used to have your statements come to you, and then you start seeing your statements online. In companies, you move from servers to the cloud where you're storing your things. Then when we got to digitization, we started looking at the processes. What can we actually do? How do we embed it in our processes, like in our touch points, all the key areas where we're actually touching our customers? How the whole model that comes together. And because we're starting from a digital thing, I'm going to go back a little bit to what a data model is, or what your business model is, what it should be looking like, and the kind of things that you need to put in it. So we're looking at those models and say, okay, how do we encompass in the different areas of our model, the digital areas, the digitalization that we want to bring to the business. So the examples that we actually have here are like where we have like smart devices. Remember, we moved to smart devices. So initially you're moving from the cloud, and then you're having like smart devices. In smart devices, you have things like the Internet of Things, where computers are talking to each other. You have like AI, which is actually a smart kind. If you think of things like Alexa, and you think of Siri, those are kind of smart devices as well. You have things like smart cities. Just that's just the area that we moved into, where we've just kind of moved a bit more from just having them digital. Now they're beginning to become a bit smart. That's why they call them smart. And then we had like I say, the whole of the digital transformation, where we actually now we're looking at human beings. And in a way, it's more cognitive. It's more like the way human beings actually think. And one of the things I saw, I heard Sophia, one of them, she's an AI thing, but this is not a human element, but they're trying to get her to think like a human being. And I heard her on a webinar that was on, where we asked her some specific questions, and we were just like really testing her to see how she was going to react. And she was beginning to think like a human being, and it was a bit scary, but it's that whole thing. So when you have like your digital transformation, you have all sorts of people that you have to bring along at different levels of understanding of different skill sets. There's a culture in the business. How are you going to get all these people to actually come along and to have buy-in and to understand that for us to move forward, this is the way we need to be, So it's kind of like that whole cognitive thing, so I've used cognitive here because I was using Sophia as an example, but it's all about the way human beings think, how we're bringing them along as well. So, sorry, I'm struggling with this thing. Yeah. Okay, so I had some industry examples that I thought about. So when we look at examples in agriculture, the way that I'm looking at how they're using digital technology now. Agriculture, we have things like smart farming, where they're trying to actually stop the use of things like pesticides. So they put in some digital elements in there. So they're looking at kind of like, it tells you when, like if a crop is going bad, and whether they should remove it, or if something needs watering, for example, the sprinklers come on, or they're saying, okay, because we use a lot of pesticides, so people that actually think are friendly don't want to use any pesticides. They think, okay, I'm going to invest in this thing, so it can stop us from using pesticides in our business. So where the crops are going bad, where the ants or bugs or things are coming to destroy them, they use smart farming there. So those actually come in and they take out all those things that are not right. Look at Tesla, for example, automobile. Tesla when it came out, was really expensive, but now it's come down a bit. We're using cars that have batteries, cars that drive themselves, cars that actually have, it's kind of like a computer. The car itself is like a computer. So it's actually very, I don't know if any of you that are old enough to remember, I don't know if anyone remembers Knight Rider? And that thing was just like, it was like a fantasy, and the car was just talking to you and everything. But here we are, it's happening now. The car actually begins to understand you, knows what your habits are, knows where you want to go, even drives you don't have to drive, they're already out there. We're having, when it comes to food delivery, things that smart delivery, they're delivering food for you. So this is how we're actually using, that's in the food industry. Retail, we see it in Amazon. Amazon has actually cut out. One thing I want to say about digital technology is that if you're a middleman, you need to actually get creative very quickly, because if you're a middleman in anything, you're out, you're basically being cut out, because it's going directly to the customer. So Amazon actually, as we know, you go on the order, they know when your order is coming, when you know what time, what day is coming. They have robots that actually go through this narrow aisles that just actually pick out the orders. So you don't even have to put the orders in any kind of you don't have to put things in any kind of order. You can put like your toothpaste next to a broom. And all the robots do, they just know, oh, this is what a broom looks like, that's what a toothpaste or a TV looks like. So people just go in and dump. They take out that time where you have people having to stack the shelves and to order things when you go into the supermarket. So, and it's also a marketplace for, buyers and sellers. So it makes it much more economical. People, they can make more money. And Amazon is making more money based on the fact that they don't have to pay people go directly to people. They don't have to pay anyone to actually stack the stores. They can get people and move them into other things that can make them money, So they also have like less kind of like, there's, like I said, there's no middleman. So they just cut out a lot of things, and they're able to be more productive, and they can bring more value. I was talking to my friend the other day, and he was actually had a drone. So I was saying, what are you using a drone for? And he said, because he's in the insurance industry, insurance adjustment. He said, oh, I just went to Australia, and one of my colleagues and everything, I'm there climbing, trying to climb the roofs of houses, because he deals with crisis. But when crisis in terms of disasters, when they happen into people's homes, so he has to climb roofs and everything to see what damage has been done. He said his friend just stood there, his colleague was there with this drone, and it was just going up. And he thought to myself, heck no, I'm going to fly a drone as well. Why should I go up there and try and break my neck? So that's how it's being used in that industry. It's been disruptive everywhere. Hospitality, we know online bookings. But one of the things that I found quite fascinating with one of the technological shows that I went for was where the hotels will actually go in and look. They place the equipment in the bed. So if there's a bug in the mattress, it will actually tell you have a bug in your mattress. We've analyzed this bug, and you need to get rid of that mattress pronto. So it's coming every industry. It's coming everywhere. So these are ways that just examples of how it's coming in sectors. Okay. So when we're developing a digital strategy, what is it that we actually have to do? One thing that people actually talk about, like, oh, digital strategy, yes, it's true. But first and foremost, we must remember the basics, the foundation of every business. Those key elements that you need in a business, you still need before you actually apply your digital strategy. So whatever your business is, even when you're developing a new business, or if you're actually an existing business, you need to know exactly what am I putting this digital, sorry, I'm struggling with this, guys. So I'm so sorry. My mouse. Okay, so first of all, you think you have to think about your strategy first before you think about anything digital. If you don't have a strategy, you don't have a business. Yes. So when I say we're not that agile yet, where we can just off the cuff just say, oh, we're just going straight digital. First of all, why do you exist as a business? Who is your target customer? What is it that you're providing for your customer? Where are you actually meeting them? What are your channels of communication? What do you want to measure? So you have all these fundamental things. You have your finance aspect, because you're digitalizing your processes, your business model and your processes. So you need to know what that is in the first place. So you need to, first of all, always start with your target customer, because you exist because of your customer. You exist because you want to provide value to your customer. So you're then actually applying the digital that will help you, enable you actually provide the maximum value for your customer, but you're meeting the customers at each of the contact points, everywhere a customer comes in contact with your business, and where you can apply your where you can digitalize, and you can automate these things. So I am, in my example, from my own experience, I've worked in excuse me. My own experience, like I've mentioned this once, but I've worked in a large company where we were looking at auditing, right? And we're using AI to audit. 90% of the auditing now is done by the machine. It's done by AI. They actually compute 90%, and then the 10% is where the human being comes in for that cognitive thing, to have a look over, to make sure and to see this is all right, But at the end of the day, they need to make the reason that they have that 10% as well is to make sure that they satisfy their customers, that they're not actually shortchanging them by actually going digital. So there's that digital aspect of it, but the focus of the business is still, how do we provide value? Are we taking away from the customer by doing this? Because that's not the aim here. Okay, so when you say identify your digital channels of communication as well, where are you meeting them? How are you meeting them? So today we know we have TikTok, we have Twitter. If you're looking at social media, we have all the different medias. All this is different. For those of you that are on these platforms, you know that they work differently. You know that places like TikTok, for example, maybe Instagram, they like bites. People like to take things in bites. When you go onto Facebook, now you can stay on Facebook for hours if you want to, and do a Facebook Live, and people are going to interact in different ways. How do customers actually digest the information that you give to them? You're communicating them. You're not just communicating with them for nothing. You're communicating with them to understand the way they think and to give them value. And the thing with digital that is different is that it's real time. You're looking at things in real time. So metrics and things. So where it's different from the traditional business models is that where you sit down and say, okay, this is my business model for, it can evolve, but this is what it's like. This is happening in real time. You're going out there, you're saying, okay, how are these people behaving now? Where have they come from? You'll see what the footprint is. As we know, before you even hit some certain websites, you feel like they're trolling you. How do you know I just went there? How do you know because they're picking up your behavior, your behavioral pattern, learning things about you as they're going along. I say, oh, this one, she likes pens like this. So when I'm selling this book, I'll put this pen in front of her like Amazon does. Oh, we saw you looked at this, or why this other person, or other people that bought this product also bought this, So they're actually using the AI intelligence to actually determine how they can provide best value to you. And that's the same way you're looking at metrics. You're not just collecting metrics or data for the sake of it. That's another aspect. You collect data. You're not collecting it just for the sake of it. You're collecting it because you need to use it. And there's this thing, I think we're not going to go into it here, but something that everybody needs to be very much aware of is the GDPR, depending on what country you're in. But in Europe, GDPR is very big. So that whole thing about you're collecting data, why you're collecting, and you must collect it for what you need it. So if you're trading as a business globally, you need to be very much aware of GDPR. And I think that's something that, needs to come on here. An expert needs to talk to people, because it's a very big thing, and there are very big fines with that. So when you're collecting data, you're analyzing data to see how the people are behaving, and you're measuring them in real time. And the thing as well with digitalization is that you're tweaking, you're testing, you're tweaking. You have to be agile. You tweak, you test, you put it out, you tweak, you twist, you put it out. And that's basically how it works. So you're not going to sit down and say, oh, I'm going to do this waterfall thing. That's the difference between agile and waterfall, where you're doing step by step by step. Agile is iterative, it's fast, it's quick. And so you need to be fast. So the difference here is like your business model, the traditional way that we've done things is not the same way we're doing now. So not putting the same KPIs, I can't remember now. Key KPIs, I'm sure you guys remember, somebody will write it down for me. You're testing your keys, critical success factors, key process indicators. You're not testing the same things with a digital business model as you did in the past, because your model is different. Then the other thing here I'd like to say is that people, and my screen has been covered again. Anyway, I can't see what I've got on the bottom but here, but what I have here is that people are very important as well, because people are kind of the most resistant when you to change. So you must not forget the people aspect. The fact that we're actually going about digital, we're putting, and this is more to do with the transformation side of it. But here you need to actually try and see when you're doing your digitalization, what kind of slow wins quick wins can I have, you know, because you have to get people buy in very quickly. It's very difficult for people just to accept, oh, we're going digital now. Some people, as you know, as an entrepreneur, it's fast, it's quick, but you have people within your organization that are still trying to get their heads around. And what I say about the progress of digitalization, I liken it to like, if you take an example of school, you start with your primary school, then you go to secondary school, then you go to university. Some people are already doing PhD and some people are still in primary school. You need to identify those people that are actually struggling, you know, they're not necessarily, you know, bad at their jobs, but they're struggling with this new technology, digital thing. So you need to bear in mind, how am I going to bring these people along? Which kind of champions do we have that can actually help these people to make them understand? How can I get quick wins? And what's the culture that we actually have? Are people quick to learn and people slow, or do they just resist change? And there's one book I'd like to recommend for everybody. If you haven't read it, there's a small book called Who Moved My Cheese? I don't know if anybody has read that book. If you have, you can, well, Who Moved My Cheese? Recommendation for everybody, because it shows you the impact, how people react to change. It uses mice, how the different people react to change and the impact that it had on them. And this is the same way I look at people when it comes to change and digitalization, because there's part of the people aspect in this as well. Okay, so tips for startups, like I say, the one thing that startups need to look at is collaboration with large firms. Look at, where can I collaborate with large firms? Because a lot of them have like incubators, they have innovative factories. Certainly some of the businesses I've worked with, they have every day, they're just throwing, as an entrepreneur, they're throwing ideas. Just bring your idea. No idea is rubbish. You know, they bring different ideas. They test it. They have like a team of people that are testing and going out testing. And that's, the big companies are actually quite scared right now. You know why? Because it's a level playing ground, level playing field. Twitter or Facebook, well, what's the latest one? TikTok. I don't know how long TikTok was out, maybe a year. I'm not sure how long. But then again, even if you've been in business for 20 years and there's a new person that's come on the scene, a young person that's just started business as quick, you know, both of you are starting from the same level playing, because you didn't know Twitter 20 years ago. We're all starting. So the businesses right now, as we're talking here, in the back rooms, they are working and they're sweating, because they know that people like us, the small entrepreneurs, are coming, and they're coming after us. Okay, so incubators, and then, like I say, you have to be agile. Okay, so last bit, food for thought. You need to understand, why do you exist? You know, who is it that you serve as a customer? Before you start putting any digital thing on, know who your customers are. Look for collaborations. Remember, it's all about innovation, testing, and that people matter. So, so my conclusion is, new landscape, new level playing field. Peter Drucker says, innovate or die. Thank you. Can't see. Can't hear.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. First of all, administrators, please pay attention, because we're losing time with the time it's taking to move on. Okay. But thank you so much, Miriam, for a very informative presentation. New landscape, you know, that point I think bears repeating, right? Because there's a sense in which a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs are feeling like, you know, they're out of their depth. But if we go back to something that Keno said, where you think in terms of hope, right? So in terms of uncertainty, in terms of, all that's going on, the transition, and that we're hearing all these things. I like the way that Miriam took us through digitalization. Those three things are different things. Well, of course, everyone is using all the different words, and sort of mixing them all up. But it doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter if you don't have the language. What you need to have is the understanding. And what was at the core of Miriam's presentation is that ultimately, this is about business. It's about the fundamentals. It's about what is your core business? What are you providing as a service? Who are you providing it to? Who is your target audience? And that's who you then start crafting your digital solutions towards, as it were. That's what I got out of it. Most importantly, to put it all together, I think you ended it up in such a powerful, profound way when you said that this new landscape, quite frankly, small businesses, entrepreneurial businesses actually have an edge. Why? Because entrepreneurial businesses can be fast, they can be quick, and in a sense, you can almost go from, not having anything, but because you're hungry, you're able to move very quickly to understand. And, you don't have to go to the PhD level. You can start at the basics. And so that's why I'm bringing on our next speaker, Paul Fo, because our time is very fast spent. What I'd like to do is that I'd like you guys to start sharing your questions now. Comments are welcome, but it's questions that I'm going to pay attention to. Keno is going to have to leave us in the next 3 to 4 minutes. So Paul, if you bear with me, I'm going to take a minute or two to see if I have any question in the next minute for Keno and Miriam. If there's a question that's in the comment section specifically, otherwise we will send any specific questions that were targeted to Keno to her subsequently. Keno, I want to say thank you very much because I know you have to leave by 5:45. And Miriam, once again, thanks for very informative presentation. I'm just looking for those questions just so that we can also make the most use of our time. Keno, I'm going to say thank you so much. Excellent presentation, very practical, very relevant. You took us through digital thinking, laid the foundation, and gave us some exercise, which I hope that the people on here, if you're really entrepreneurial, then you're going to actually do the work, because entrepreneurs are not, as it were, employee-minded, where it's almost like, you're giving work and we're here to apply. And we're very grateful for all the knowledge that you guys have shared so far today. That's why in today's world, you rarely call people employees in that sense, because everyone now, we're now in this world of, you incorporated, where you're meant to bring your best game to whatever it is that you're doing. And that's why entrepreneurs can actually take over even the big companies in today's world, because of that ability to move very quickly, to learn fast, and that hunger. Thank you, Keno. We'll be calling on you again in the near future. Excellent knowledge and information. Thanks. And thank you, Miriam.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do Q&As at the end. Did you see a question, Keno?
There was from Ayomi, but I think it was particular to her or his fast food operation. So I can do that on the Facebook group.
Please, yes. Thank you so much.
I'll answer your question on Facebook.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks. We have a Facebook, iWow Facebook group. Yes, excellent. Yes. Thank you so much, Keno. Okay, Paul, we're ready for you. We've been talking all things digital, all things entrepreneurial, and a lot of this is very much a lot of concepts that we have to take on board. I'm hoping that you are going to take us right in. You are an entrepreneur, and you've taken one of the tools. We're going to use your business in a sense as a case study. I know you're here to share with us principles, around entrepreneurship, and the whole mindset and everything. But rather, let's use you as a case study, right? In a sense, we have these big consulting firms, out there, all the digital platforms that they have, the technology, all that stuff. Last year, you were the iWow Inspired Women of Worth Global Possibility Summit, and you brought out your phone, and you were shouting, "This is not a phone!" I'm shouting at you. This is how you shout. You soon start shouting again. This is not a phone. This is not a phone. Tell us, what is this, Paul? And
Powerful tool.
how can we in today's world use this thing? How have you used it? And how have you used it to, as it were, dominate in your sector? That's what I'd like you to start with.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Udo, for having me on the Iowa team. I'm extremely honored and privileged to be here. So with the limited amount of time that I have, let me just go straight to it. It is not a phone, it's a tool. It depends on how you see it. Now, what we have in your hand is very, very redemptive, right? It's a very strong word, but very, very. It's a passport. It's your passport to the entire universe. It makes you omnipresent. You can be in different platforms all at the same time from the click of a button. So I'm here to talk about, what does entrepreneurship mean now in this digital world? It means selling. Number one, sales is your savior right now. Because right now you can't go out there to see the customers. You're at home. So your strength is your capacity to communicate on paper, written words, and your capacity to convince and persuade with words. If you cannot do that, then you are not going to have all of those credit alerts in your phone. So I'm going to be a bit practical here. How do you do that, knowing that you have a phone? There is a social science or a behavioral economics term called availability heuristics. It basically means that memory sometimes affects our choices, but it means that making a choice based on immediate and easy, examples that come to mind easily. So let's say, for example, if both of us are looking at a gentleman well-dressed, and I ask you, do you think that man is an astronaut or that man is a medical doctor? 9 times out of 10, many people say he's a medical doctor. Why? Because the word medical doctor is more available than the word astronaut. We see more medical doctors than we see more astronauts. So that person made that choice or that decision based on availability. How do you translate this to sale now? The more available your brand is, the easier it is for a customer to make a decision when it is time to make a decision about you in your industry. So the question I want to ask you is, with this powerful phone that you have, how available are you now in terms of adding value, in terms of helping customers solve their problem? Now, Udo is she's world class, she's excellent. I'm not the only person doing this in this country. Why do you think she called me? Because I am pushing that button called the availability heuristics. I'm ensuring that on my industry in Nigeria generally, that when it comes to my industry, my name comes to top of mind advantage or top of tongue advantage. So the question I want to ask you is your business top of tongue advantage or top of mind advantage with this tool that you have? This is not going to happen if you post only once a week or only once a month about your business. It's not going to cut it. What is going to cut it now is consistency. Guess what? Right now, more people are on their phones than they have ever been before. So this is an opportunity for you to establish your brand as a business before they go back to their normal life. In quote, that is if that will ever happen again, because now this is our new normal. So one of the things that you got to activate is the law of availability heuristics. Now that you are at home, even if you sell air and nobody's buying the air now, you can pivot to someone that teaches people how to maintain their air at home. You can pivot by creating content to people on how to maintain that air or night routines on their skin right now. What are you doing? You are seeding their heart. You are seeding them so that when all of this thing comes to an end, the person that they remember first is you. The second thing that I'm going to talk about that can help you as well is loss aversion, because people feel losses more deeply than gains of the same value. I'll say it again. People feel losses more deeply than gain of the same value. For example, if I come to you, hypothetically speaking, and I say to you that, you are a good staff of mine, you work well, I'm going to add 10,000 naira extra to your salary. You'll be excited. But if that same boss comes to that person and says, you know what, you've not been performing well, I'm going to take 10,000 away from your salary, that person will feel that 10,000 taken away much more than the 10,000 added to the person. How do you translate this to business? When you are selling your product or talking about your product, right? When you're talking about your product, tell the customer what they will lose by not buying or doing business with you, not only what they will gain by doing business with you. Why is that? If you go to bookings.com or amazon.com, they'll tell you only 7 rooms like this left. Only 7 rooms like this left. The reason why they're telling you that because they know that humans, we feel losses much more than we feel. That's why you must activate a sense of urgency when you sell product, especially digital. Why do you think that if you go to a website, they will put a timer, 20 minutes left, 24 minutes left for the offer, 32 minutes left? Why? It's a sense of urgency and they are activating the loss aversion. So you want to use that also when you sell. The other principle we would look at in this digital age when you sell is risk reversal. I like this. This is so powerful. Risk reversal. Now, before anybody buys anything from you, there are certain questions in their heads. They're saying to themselves, will it work? If it doesn't work, can I return it? Are they credible? Are they this? Are they that? When you reverse the risk, what you're doing is that you're taking some of the risk on yourself and telling the customer, hey, I've removed the risk. You go ahead and make a buying decision. I'll give you an example. I journal a lot. I do physical journal. I've been doing that for years. I write a journal every single day. I write a gratitude journal every single day. So recently, I was listening to a South African guy that I follow a lot, and he was talking about a digital journal that he has been using for like 3 years. It's called Day One. I went to the Apple store and I got the Day One app. Day One says to me, hey Paul, you have 7 days free to use Day One. 7 days. Huh. Ladies and gentlemen, I started using Day One app for my journaling. I was hooked. After the 7th day, I paid for a 1-year subscription for $34. That's like 12,000 naira for a whole year. I just paid. And now I'm using that because I'm loving. What did they do? They did a risk reversal on me. They said, use it for 7 days. You can rip us off. Even if you don't want it again, you can delete the app, but use it for 7 days. After 7 days, I was hooked. So why is it that sometimes you go to a shop and they give you a sample of a cake to eat? They give you a sample of this to do. That is risk reversal. They're saying test it first. And if you don't like it, you can keep it. But if you like it, you'll come back. But if you believe in the strength of your product, you will find some way to do some form of risk reversal or your MVP, your minimum viable product that you should put out there. That's why you should be doing classes like this for your own business. Come on now. Oh my God. I feel something right now. You should do classes like this for your own business. If you sell skincare products, you should do classes educating people on how to, take care of their skin. That is a risk reversal because when they hear you teach, they hear you talk about the product, the question in their head that will it work has been eliminated. So look for a way to use risk reversal when you sell. I don't know how many time I have left, so I respect people's time a lot. So when you tell me to stop, I will stop because I'm feeling it right now. Another one is social proof. Oh my God, this is so powerful. There's a place in America called San Marcos in California. A team of behavioral scientists and researchers, they went about the environment once, and they were sending out messages to the people in the environment and said to them that, hey guys, we want you to turn off your fans and turn off some of your electronics so that you can save the planet. People didn't respond. They went to a second group of people and say, hey guys, we want you to turn off your fans and turn off some of your electronics, and that will help you save $54 in your bill. They didn't respond. But when they went to the people and said to them, we want you to turn off your fans and turn down your fans on some of your electronics because 77%, listen to this, 77% of your cost of your neighbors, that is exactly what they are doing. Guess what? The compliance rate increased significantly because they said this is what your neighbors are doing. So sometimes the only and the best reason why people take action is because of what other people are doing. So how do you apply this to your business? Share testimonials of people who have enjoyed your product and your service. With their permission, ask them, can I have a written testimonial? Can I have a video testimonial? Can I have a this testimonial, so that other people can benefit from our product or service like you have benefit from it? So you want to use that. It's very, very critical. Testimonials, extremely. Why is it that when you go to Amazon, you go to booking.com, you want to book a room for a hotel when you're traveling abroad, you will read the reviews. Whether you like it or not, those reviews, they are influencing your buying decision. If you read 5 reviews, 3 reviews, what are you doing? That 5 reviews are programmed your mind to be in a buying mode. Oh my goodness, to be in a buying mode, for that organization. So ask for reviews. It doesn't even have to be an influencer. Just ask for honest reviews from your customers. Those things have a serious way of influencing people's buying decision. Another one I want to talk about is so powerful. Pile up the bonuses. Hey, pile up the bonuses. Yeah, this is very powerful. As human beings, we always want to feel like the money we are paying for a product cannot be compared to what we are getting from that product. Let me give you a practical example. Before the COVID-19, a client of mine in the real estate industry called me up and said, Paul, come and do sales training for my team. We have agreed. And COVID-19 hit, and the government said nobody should come out. Now, that government decision I cannot control, because I always tell people all the time, focus on what you can control and not what you cannot control. I like the serenity prayer that says that, God, give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and the courage to change the things that I can change. And I love the last part, and the wisdom to know the difference. So when this client calls me and says, we are canceling, we can't do the training, before the client dropped the phone, I say, hang on, sir. Is it okay if I do a Zoom class for all your staff for 15 minutes free of charge, so that after the pandemic comes down, we will now do the physical training? The guy said, that's fantastic. Guess what? He paid the full price. I did a Zoom class for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm waiting for the pandemic. What happened now? I piled up the bonus. I made him feel like, the guy said, I'm paying for this, and you're giving me all this. It's a powerful psychological trigger. You want to look for a way to pile up bonuses. Let me give you a simple trick on how to pile up a bonus. Let's say you sell hair, for example, or you sell beauty products, or you're in real estate, whatever it is that you do. Ask yourself, what are the questions or the challenges that my customers are facing? Let's say, for example, they don't have a night routine of how to take care of their skin before they sleep, or a morning routine. You sit yourself down and record it and say, hello guys, my name is Annabelle. I'm the CEO of Annabelle Beauty. Here are my 10 night routines that take care of my skin before I sleep. Number 1, this. Number 2, I rub oil. Number 3, I rub, I don't lime, whatever. You write it down. After you recorded that, you can go to rev.com, rev.com. It's a website. Rev will help you translate your words into written text, like a PDF or like a Word document for like $2, all right? When you translate that, you go to canva.com. You do a cover of that. That has made you a mini author. So when a customer says, I want to buy a lipstick from you or a skin product from you, you tell the customer, in addition to you buying this thing, I will also give you my book, my 5-step guide on how to take care of your skin at night before you sleep, and how to take care of your skin in the morning before you wake up. My God, pile up the bonuses. So in their mind, they are going like, I'm paying this and I'm getting all this. They pile up the bonus. It's a psychological trigger. It happened to me again today. I use it a lot. It even happened to me right now. I saw a company on Instagram, because I drink my coffee. I do my coffee every morning. I've got a coffee machine. I blend and I brew. So I ran out of coffee and I saw this advert. The guy says that we are doing a promo. If you buy this Brazilian coffee, we will give you a coffee plunger and we'll deliver it to you for free if you live on the island. Whoa! I paid them money quickly. And they've delivered me the coffee. The coffee is in my house. Why? They piled up the bonus. The pile is a psychological trigger. So look for a way how you can pile up what else can you do? Is it free delivery? Is it a guide? Is it a step? And the last thing I'll talk about today is the power of your headline in this time. Because you can't knock on people's doors anymore. It's the headline that will grab their attention. What kind of headline? Let me give you a framework of the power of headline. An headline is so powerful. The reason why you buy a newspaper is because of the headline. That's the only reason you stop by because of the headline. Now, why is this important? In the 1980s, a woman called Laura Hayden wrote a book called Astrological Love. The book didn't do well. Sold only 2,000 copies. They began to sell the book in thrift stores, secondhand stores all over the world. A man saw the book, I think in New York. He liked the book, called the lady and said, I like this book. Can I buy the publishing rights to this book? She said, yeah, go ahead. The man took the book. He didn't change the content. He only changed the title. He changed the title from Astrological Love to How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More. That book went on to sell, 18 million copies. The only thing it changed was the title. What kind of headline do you give to your post online? Is it, in fact, some of you, what kind of bio do you your Instagram? Is it a small girl, big God? What kind of bio? What kind of headline? Now, let me give you a framework for headline. The first framework for an headline is the how-to framework. The how-to framework, where you have seen that how to lose weight, how to grow your Instagram page, to get creative with it. Use that. The second framework is the listicle framework, where you have lists like 5 ways to be financially independent, 15 simple things to look at before you buy a property in Lagos, 5 questions to ask a realtor before you buy a property, 5 questions to ask a doctor before you do a surgery. All those are that's called the listicle. So you get creative with that. The second one is the question framework, where you start with a question like, who here is struggling to sell on Instagram? Send me a DM. That's powerful. And then the last one is a statement, where you go like, I stopped watching television for 60 days and here's what happened to me. I stopped drinking Coca-Cola for 25 days and here's what happened to me. So that's a statement framework. You see, if you get creative with those frameworks, it will help you to capture people's attention. It's the framework that makes someone to read your content. It's the strength of your content that makes someone to be converted into a reader, into a paying client. Let me give you some trigger words that I use a lot that can make people also buy. Number one, trigger word like breaking news. Yes, so if you're scrolling online, if you see breaking news, you will stop. What's breaking here? What's going on? Capturing your attention, breaking. The other one is revealed. In fact, I use it today and it converted. I'm telling you, man. Revealed. 7 mental triggers to sell anything online. Whoa! So these are trigger words. Why? If you read Cosmopolitan magazine, that's what they're doing to you. If you read Vogue magazine, go and study the cover of Vogue magazine. Go and study the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine. Go and study the cover of even the National Enquirer. They pay their copywriters so much money because they understand that selling is 80% psychology, only 20% mechanics. Understand the psychology, and the mechanics will take care of itself. With these few points of mine, I hope I'll be able to convince you and not confuse you. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Paul. Talk about high octane energy. High octane energy. This is not a phone. And you've taken it from there. You know, now you see why we put you at the end. Energy. Because after this, you don't need our workout. That is the workout for the day. You worked out for us and all that. We're done, right?
Yes.
You know, the interesting thing, right? Today I was on a webinar with, you know, it's a US company, and we're just talking marketing, all of that stuff. And the consensus is that, you know, we have an incredibly unique opportunity for small businesses, for entrepreneurs, for people in today's world, right? Listen to this, that great marketers, promoters are going to shine. That is the era that we're in. So, you know, just looking at you, having you speak, do the presentation, essentially, that's essentially the picture of exactly that comment. So anybody who says they want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to operate and you want to thrive in the economy that we're in now, and you don't understand great marketing, you don't understand promotion, you don't understand how to influence, you don't understand the psychology of humans and how to communicate, you are not going to be in business. Anybody who is still saying that, oh, I'm shy of technology, I can't speak, I can't come on live. The other day, you know, I hosted the New Money Blueprint, and, you know, we asked a few people were writing all these testimonials and everything. But when you ask for a video, very few people will commit to being able to give a video, not because, here's what they say, that they are shy. And I say, how are you an entrepreneur and you are shy? Do you not realize that in today's world, you as an entrepreneur attending something and then you speak, not only are you sharing a testimonial, what you're doing is that you're actually triggering that first principle you talked about, which is availability, which is collaboration. Because now you're showing up on somebody and potentially a bigger platform than your platform. So the world that we're going into, if you are going to be an entrepreneur, you have to bring your extrovert side. And I use that word deliberately because not everyone is extroverted, right? The question of shy, when I was growing up, you know, I was extremely painfully shy. But when you start doing business, you cannot talk about shyness. So I say that because your presentation here today has been as much about teaching as much as it is about theater. And theater is about marketing. So in today's world, how can you differentiate from the hundreds and thousands of everybody who is coming online, everybody who is doing live? It's your personality. It's your ability to showcase. It's your ability to influence. It's your ability to be authentic, to speak your truth. The way, so when he starts talking and, you know, it's like, you know, I'm getting deep into it. You can see what he's doing. He's transpiring his positive energy. Businesses that can be positive in today's market, those are the businesses that are going to shine. Businesses that are neutral, businesses that are non-existent, which is no show. Do you know there are businesses that don't even have websites? They don't have social media presence. They don't have any digital footprint. You don't exist. Then the owners of the businesses themselves, you call yourself an entrepreneur. What is your voice? We can't hear you. All these things I'm saying, I'm referring to the concept of marketing, the concept of having a voice, because at the end of the day, selling is about voice. Selling is about personality. Selling is about trust. So what you've done now is you've sold trust. Trust comes from you giving us the knowledge. So now, in a sense, if someone wants to go for a Pulse course or any of the speakers who've spoken today, they've already reduced that barrier to entry. That barrier is the fact that they've demonstrated competence already of the topic and they've given it freely, as it were. And everybody has brought their A game. So what am I saying? The entrepreneurship model, the entrepreneurship mindset is all about, at the end of the day, I say, everything is commentary. If you're not selling, if you're not closing the transactions, everything is commentary. Someone referred to Peter Drucker earlier. Peter Drucker says there is innovation and marketing. That's it. As entrepreneurs, that's what we all have to remember. It's innovation, which means what you create, what you're selling, what is your market, as it were. Is it a phone? Is it sales services? Is it training? Is it education? Is it coaching of teams? What is your market? What is your product? What is your area of value? That's the innovation, meaning what is the product or the service? And then on the other side is, how will you get it into the hands of the person who needs it? And that's where the digital platform, the digital thinking, because in today's world, I'm going to leave you guys with this as we wrap this up. You have to think in terms of this proprietary system, which I've been teaching people in the New Money Blueprint Masterclass. You have to think in terms of the GDP system. Now, the GDP system is something that I've had to create, you know, for this new economy that we're going into. It basically has dealt with everything that we've done today. The first is globalization. G represents globalization. How can you get your product into as many hands, into as many businesses, into as many customers, you know, ecosystem, as it were? How can you get it before them? Paul has referred to it. Peter talked about the mindset, because if you're still thinking in the same old way, then you'll be satisfied with serving only those in Lagos, when you can go into the World Wide Web. Go ye into the www. Go ye into the World Wide Web. You can be in Lagos and you can be training people in Toronto. You can be training people in Hong Kong, in Honolulu. That's what the concept of globalization is. You can be in Lagos and you can be training people in Abuja, in Ibadan, beyond your Lagos. So In this new economy, it is those who can think globally in terms of their reach, in terms of a wider audience. And then the D we've dealt with, which is digitalization. And there are many aspects to it. And there are questions that you have to go back to and actually ask yourself. It's not just saying digitalization. Digitalization is not just about social media. It is a way of thinking. It has to go through every part of your business process. And then the final P, you'll have to wait for the New Money Masterclass to learn that. I'm just joking. P stands for productization. It goes beyond your product. Productization is a way of thinking. It's about breaking down your product into bite sizes. So instead of offering this big consulting service, for example, that people are going to pay so much for, and now they don't have that money, how can you convert it? So if you think of MTN, instead of a business contract customer, they now have 10 Naira recharge cards. All of a sudden, they're able to, as it were, they've created a different product category and they're reaching many more people. How can you take your current product or service or whatever it is that you're offering and break it into small sizes? So I put all of this, I said this at the end and brought it all to realize, to get us to get to the place where we see that the entrepreneurial mindset is a process. It's not something you can get in 2 hours. Paul has shared powerfully with us, you know, how to think in terms of sales and entrepreneurship, because you have to be influencing, you have to be convincing, you have to be communicating, and you have to do it with a lot of positivity. Today's world, an entrepreneur has to be positive energy. Nobody, the world is already too depressed. Nobody wants to deal with low bulb energy entrepreneurs. So it's important that we all get into that place of positivity, into that place of hope. Okay, our time is fast spent. I wanted to put that out there just to put us all in the right framework. There are loads of questions. At the end of the day, what we want to do as a community is to take people on a journey. The whole of this month of April, what we're doing is hosting these complimentary webinars and delivering incredible knowledge, incredible value, because we want as many people as possible to develop this. But here is where the entrepreneurial mind is different. The entrepreneurial mind understands that if Paul has given you a 15, 20 minutes of this level of value, that there is a deeper level. That if Miriam, if Keno, if Peter, if they've come here and they've given you that this is really what you call intro, that there is mastery level. And in today's world, no entrepreneur who is not willing to invest in mastery will thrive. That's the truth. This is not stuff that you can learn in 5 minutes or in a 2-hour session with 5 different speakers. So I say that to say that one of the key characteristics of an entrepreneurial mind is that growth is at the heart of it, that you're constantly growing. And the place in which you grow the most is in the place of knowledge. I'm going to, at this point, just wrap it up because we're out of time by just going through and seeing if we have questions, comments, and all of that. Fantastic. Yes, this will be shared. Everything is commentary if you're not selling, absolutely. But you need to know what you're selling, and you need to know what the value, and you need to know in what format, and all of those things. Extremely engaging presentation. Any questions? Okay, no questions. If you have questions, feel free to send them in. In the meantime, I want to thank again all our speakers, starting from Peter, who laid the foundation, and to Keno, who did an excellent work taking us through digital thinking and the difference between, that digital transformation is a mindset and not a technological consideration. Okay, and she took us through what digital transformation looks like. Miriam did a fine job of showing us what business processes, how we have to think first in terms of businesses. Always start with your target customer in place. In my New Money Blueprint, we get you to look at what your core services are, how you can deliver them in a more convenient way, in a more affordable way, in a more accessible way. There's all these questions you have to start asking yourself. And that's what you do when you start dealing with your business model, your business strategy, and all of that stuff. We went on to, so that was Miriam, and of course, Paul, who has shown us how easy and how practical it is for us to use these devices, as it were, and then learn new skills. Selling is a 21st century skill that no entrepreneur can do without. And that's where a lot of professionals who turned into entrepreneurs tend to struggle. And so we will continue on this journey. You will hear from us. If you're on this webinar, it means that you are on our mailing list. Look out for our next webinar, which is next Wednesday. And as a community in May, we're starting and embarking on a whole new journey. The webinars that we'll be having, in the month of May will be done slightly differently. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. Make sure you're part of our Facebook group, and make sure you are on our newsletter and bring your friends along. We are going to be opening 100 spaces for women, female founders of businesses or female leaders to, as it were, join the iWow Power Tribe in terms of the academy and the program that we're starting and kicking off in May. So make sure that you're receiving our newsletter so that you'll be the first to receive that information on how to join and have access to the mastery level of all these things that we've been dealing with over the last few weeks. Once again, I would like to say thank you to everyone. I'm going to look one more time and see. Post-COVID business environment, what will it be like? And how do you sell effectively in COVID era without coming across as insensitive? That's a good question for Paul. I would like you to answer that in really a minute. And then I would like to bring Peter on. I would like all my contributors to answer that question. That's how we're going to end. Every speaker who's still here, I want you to tell us, what will the post-COVID environment be like? You're going to take essentially 60 seconds to a maximum 2 minutes to tell us your view of what the post-COVID world looks like. Okay, I'm going to bring Miriam first, Peter, and then Paul. If Miriam is there, if you just unmute her.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, I just believe that we've actually covered it. There's a new landscape. We're all starting from the same level playing field. We all have the same opportunities. Nobody has what we're going through now. So it's now time for us to take advantage of this. Take a lot to learn, find the experts to help you.
Fantastic. Post-COVID, I think we're going to have our kids working with us.
Oh, can I say one thing? Can I say one thing about the kids?
Yes,
we need to be very careful. Or everybody on here, your children need to know what they're studying at universities now, because some universities are still offering things that are not going to be useful to them. So you need to know what that are not going to be useful post-COVID. It's something that's very important for our children. Foundation.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Talking about children, and with Paul's in the background, yesterday or 2 days ago, I was at a board meeting, and one of the directors, had her kids, coming onto the screen. And initially there was this sense of whatever, but we're like, this is what the new world is going to look like, because there are going to be very few people who will go back to how they were doing business previously. I mean, what you can do from your home library, why do you need to go into the office to get it done? So the thinking needs to shift, right? There has to be new thinking in this new world, that we're comfortable with humanity, and humanity includes families. That's the truth about it. So I just want us to start thinking about that. It's not just about business. It's now business unusual, which means we now have to start seeing things from a different place. In this new world, weakness will become strength. So you can actually come and say to your customers, I am struggling. Vulnerability, right? Help me. And they will rally around you and become part of that, your storyline. So I just wanted to throw that in because of Paul's, beautiful daughter that I saw. So let me take Peter and then Paul. Post-COVID, what does it look like from your perspective?
We're going to have businesses that will run with entrepreneurial teams. So they're going to be small businesses that will be doing mighty things, and we can refer to them as global small businesses. So if you're still an entrepreneur and you're still waiting to get instructions to do your work, then it's unfortunate that the technology that will replace your work has already been created.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. Peter is sounding the alarm for those who are still in that employee mindset. But I want us to know that that mindset, and that's what he's saying, is also relevant and applicable to those who own their businesses, right? Because when you own your business and you keep on doing that, oh, you're a good tailor, let you sew. You're not going to be thinking about all the things that you need to do in terms of your business processes and the things you need to adapt and all of that stuff, so that you can actually be competitive and, you know, take advantage of what Miriam said earlier, which is that basically it's a level playing field. And guess what is making it a level playing field? Technology. And, you know, you said something about the global, say that again, Peter, local, global, small global businesses, right? They've taken your mic off again. Can't hear you. Okay, Paul, let's wrap this up. Can't hear you.
Saying, can I go ahead?
Can? Yes, go ahead, say,
world
and then Paul.
has already started. It is already here. So I think business that will do where people are nimble, ability to pivot, change, execute with speed. You know, somebody said that the future is already here. It is just not evenly distributed.
Absolutely.
Already, it is just not evenly distributed. So let's let that to change quickly, pivot, take massive action, and be nimble and have speed. Because COVID has told us that we can actually do business without physical human interaction. That's what it is telling us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Certainly most aspects of our businesses. So the whole thing about what we're trying to do today is for you to pay attention and say, what aspects of my business can I still deliver using technology as a platform? Right?
Yes.
Starting with your phone and all of that. Peter, you were cut off when you were sharing your final thoughts.
Yes, I said we will have businesses that will operate with entrepreneurial teams. And these businesses, or those small businesses, but we'll refer to them as global small businesses. They'll actually behave like multinationals, because they will even have employees not in the same location or geographical location. So not restricted by location or place of physical work. So anyone who is not ready to be an entrepreneur in this season may not be able to compete very well in this season.
Fantastic. And so as we wrap it up, I will share what my own final thoughts are. And it's what I said earlier, which is that this is an era of great marketing. Promoters are going to shine. Anybody that can speak, that can influence, that can show up and show up consistently. What is great is really going to become great at this time, okay? And I want all of us to know that you may not be in a position to actually be exchanging cash for your services now, but every single business can build brand equity during the season. How do you do that? You do that by building on the relationship, some of those things that have been said earlier today. This is the time for you to be teaching. This is a time for you to be showing up on an ongoing basis and adding value to your clients. Come up with ways of staying vibrant, staying positive, and communicating on a consistent basis in ways that serve your client. This is the era to build your brand equity through relationship building. So that's it. It's a wrap from all of us. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much to our incredible speakers, Mariam, Paul, and Peter, and Keno, who left at 5:45. Thank you to the Inspired Women of Worth community. Thank you to the coordinating team that put this together. In particular, I want to say thank you and well done to Unse, to Fumi, to Alex, and to all of the team, Ugona also. And thanks to all of you, the guests who joined and stayed with us through this. God bless you. And remember to remain positive. There is always hope. Hope is actually a strategy. Hope is a strategy. Hope represents have only positive expectations. And then once you have those expectations, you then start backing it up with practical action, which is all these things that we'll be sharing with you today. Have an amazing rest of week and see you on our next Power Woman webinar series. Thank you also to Pat, who started off the introduction for today. See you all soon. Stay awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
A round of applause to our speakers, guys. Fantastic.